Hello, and welcome to My Life in Film 2003, where we're continuing the journey to see which films I enjoyed in my life from 1987 until 2020. We've had a few adventures. We've gone from top 10s to top 20s, 25s, and 30s, and this time we're going back down to 25 because I couldn't find 30 I truly enjoyed, but there are a few I enjoy even though I know they are not fantastic. So in at number 25 is Gothika. Gothika is one of my favourite genres of horror. It's one of these investigation ghost stories where somebody is being haunted and the ghost is trying to give them clues to what happened to them. And this is the sort of one I could watch all day long. It's one, as I said, my favourite genre. We will see more of them in this list alone, but it'll be one we'll see a lot going forward too. 24 is Runaway Jury, one of the John Grisham ones that doesn't get as much praise as the 90s movies, but this movie follows a super slick lawyer who looks like he's ready to buy the jury in a case, and then he learns that somebody else is already planning on buying them and has a bigger motivation, and instead of it being a proper case about who is right and wrong, there is a big political power play into why everything is happening. A very intense one with an all-star cast. 23 is Shanghai Knights. Much like why Shanghai Noon was on the list, this one decides to poke fun of Victorian-era England, including a cameo from a Charlie Chaplin and many other British figures, and this time we get to see Jackie Chan and Owen Wilson reunite after Owen Wilson's characters decided to claim fame for their work. Well, Jackie Chan's John Wayne, as he is actually called in this movie, is trying to live a quiet life. 22 is Final Destination 2. Probably the last time we'll see a Final Destination movie on any of these lists, but Final Destination 2 brings something fresh to the table because we knew what ghosts, not even ghost, it was death after people, and this one is a form of sequel where we have another absolutely amazing opening sequence before finding another group of people slowly getting picked off by death before a connection to the original. Again, this one is one of the last ones that really captured the cleverness before it became more of a stunt kill movie. 21 is Old School. Yep, we're getting to the end of these grossed out comedies, but the college era one was here, and the old men returned to college to have their own frat. And while there is a lot of heart, this is when Vince Vaughn was pretty much at the peak of his career in comedy. He had that fast talking when Will Ferrell was just bursting onto the scene with his oddball comedy, and Luke Wilson was the calm one, and it all works very well for this movie. So a few that I've missed, Memories of a Murder. We all know why this was on the list because of the Oscar for Bong Joon-ho. The Room because of that reputation, and 21 Grams because of the Oscars it won, or was up for at least. 3 I've missed and will be getting round to one day. 20 is Identity. This movie follows a group of strangers who find themselves at a rainy motel, and in this motel they start getting picked off by somebody and they have to figure out who is the killer, and we have a whole range of potential suspects, and while it does have an oddball twist, it is a very interesting movie to watch. 19 is Once Upon a Time in Mexico, the third of the El Maharachi trilogy from Robert Rodriguez, and this one always felt like he was given all the money he wanted to make it. He cast bigger and bigger names, shall we say. Well, we had Johnny Depp added to it, really. And we get to see what will happen next when it's like a three-way battle for control of El Maharachi himself. And is he a legend? Is he going to just kill everyone, etc., etc.? Well worth watching just for the explosive action sequences that Rodriguez is known for. Number 18 is School of Rock, one of the later ones I watched on this list, but going back and seeing it and Jack Black rocking out the school is something you're going to be enjoying for ages, as he takes a fake job as a substitute teacher in music and then decides to teach them all about rock music and makes their own rock band. However bad it's meant to sound, it was a lot of fun. Number 70 is another one I saw very late. It's Station Agent. And this one follows a lonely man played by Peter Dinklage who is just wandering around his town and finds love, and it's just one of these very quirky comedies that just sort of shows about connections people have with each other. As you can see, it's an award winner. It's one that people always raved over and shows that regardless of how people sometimes see Peter Dinklage, he's a brilliant actor, even before Game of Thrones came along. 60 is Mystic River, a very dark crime thriller that follows a missing person and whether somebody from their childhood could have a connection to it, as it is one of their family friends who has gone missing, and one of them is a detective and one of them has been an oddball, but there's a lot of suspects in this and it does keep you guessing where it could go, and also a very, very entertaining movie. 15 is The Last Samurai, one that Tom Cruise doesn't get as much credit for, but this one follows him as he ends up joining forces against his own men to fight for the right thing and learn the way of the samurai. And again, it's one of those very clever movies. It brought Ken Watanabe onto the main scene for the Western audience, so we got something new from him. And in the end, this is a very, very enjoyable movie too. American Pie: The Wedding is at number 14. The third chapter of this movie, franchise either, before it went very, very wrong and just cash grabbed its way into DVD movies. But Jim is finally getting married, and we get to see how the stag do happens, the wedding, and things go wrong. There's a big arc for Stifler about learning to grow up, which is very good. The big negative for this movie is it did cut a couple of characters out, like Oz and Heather are no longer here, and even Eddie and Finch tend to just become more of a background character, more centred on Jim and the family, and Stifler learning more. 13 is The Core. Big dumb disaster movies. Yes, I'm here for them all day long. And this was one of the last we had in this era, where a group of scientists, led by 2 astronauts, have to go into the core of the Earth to restart the Earth's core in an attempt to save the world from complete destruction. Ambitious is an understatement, but hey, we have a great movie to watch. Hugely entertaining. Talk about hugely entertaining, it's Freddy versus Jason at number 12. 2 of the greatest icons of the slasher genre go head to head in a battle as Freddy looks to use Jason to reignite the fear in Elm Street by bringing him out of Crystal Lake to go on a killing spree. And while this one is probably saved by the fact that Robert Englund is absolutely fantastic with his lines, his reactions to things that Jason does, and we can just sit here and watch a lot of slashing stuff going on and have a lot of fun. 11 is A Tale of Two Sisters, one movie I watched the wrong way round. I always say this about the remakes. I would love to see someone who saw the remake first and then went back to see the original, quite often with the Asian movies. And this one is one that I saw the original first, so I kind of knew the twist, but it's also very clever. It's about 2 sisters who start believing their stepmother is abusing them. And again, it's one that has a lot of built up tension, and you really need to pay a lot of attention to everything you see, and a killer twist. Films I didn't like. Here's the controversial moment. Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Now, I like the first Lord of the Rings. I think the second Lord of the Rings is a lot of fun, but the third one is basically exactly the same as the second one in my eyes. It's just a large battle that has way too much going on, and they throw the ring. It's lost a bit of humour that was in there between some of the other characters like Legolas and, I can never remember his name, but John Rhys Davis, his character. They have a bit of banter about kills, and it seems to have gone in this movie. And the other one is Open Water, because it was kind of just boring. It's just 2 people screaming in the ocean and a shark around. And yeah, I saw the trailer for this at the cinema, and someone screamed so much for it, it kept making me jump over the actual movie I was watching. Number 10 is Love Actually. Well, we've got a tough top 10 here, haven't we? Let's be honest, but the ultimate Christmas movie really for the Brits, and with such an amazing cast, and each character doesn't get bogged down with too much to do, so they know they have to make the most of each scene. Some inside British jokes, as in Bill Nighy calling Ant and Dec Ant or Dec because he doesn't know who he's talking to. Rowan Atkinson being weird. Hugh Grant even as the Prime Minister dancing around like a prat. Where have we seen that, hopefully? And then there's some more serious ones with like the Colin Firth love story in Portugal, I believe it was, and other things going on. So plenty going on, plenty to enjoy here. Number 9 is Kill Bill Volume 1. While I've said this a lot, Kill Bill Volume 1 is a lot more action-packed and entertaining in that sense. It would be hard to argue against it being the better of the two, but it's the easiest of the two to watch. We have a huge kill count, especially with the whole Crazy 88 gang sequence. Uma Thurman steps up for this movie, and we know we've seen some controversy about what's happening behind the scenes, but for me this one is the easiest of Tarantino's movies to watch. Number 8 is Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. When Johnny Depp first appeared in this movie, this got him an Oscar nomination. This movie and everything about it is nearly perfect for a popcorn movie. You can sit there, you can enjoy it, you can see how bonkers everything is, and by the end of it, you're going to be sat there laughing at him, enjoying the side story, and relishing the villain of the piece in Geoffrey Rush, Captain Barbossa. Number 7 is Finding Nemo. I'm not the biggest fan of Finding Nemo, but it's grown on me over the years, and for me it is more insane than I thought it was. I love everything that's happening in the fish tank more than actually in the wide ocean, and seeing their attempts at a grand escape. But again, it's just about a father looking for his son who gets taken, and you can imagine this happening in real life and just how traumatic it would be for fish if they had the memories. I don't know nature well enough, but if it happened to a person, it would be horrendous. So, yeah. Number 6 is Elf. Good year for Christmas movies, 2003. Will Ferrell absolutely shines as Buddy the oversized elf, as he looks to find his real father, who has, because Buddy was found in an orphanage. Yeah, very, very enjoyable movie. Usually can watch it every Christmas and get a laugh or two along the way. Number 5 is X-Men 2. What was a huge improvement on the first X-Men movie, which isn't to say anything bad about the first one. It didn't really know where it was going, but this one builds on the legacy, builds on the idea that there isn't just a two different mutant side battle, there is a human side that's against them too. And having the three-way dimension in the battle was fantastic to see, because Xavier and Magneto have to work together to try and solve the problem. Number 4 is Ong Bak. Yes, we've hit a Tony Jaa movie. We'll see a few of these, I think. Maybe not, actually, maybe not. But we'll see a couple. But this one is the first one that came on the scene, and it showed him in his new position as one of the top fighters in cinema. We had lost Jet Li, had sort of faded away. Jackie Chan has gone more comedic. Chow Yun-fat had disappeared off the scene as well. We needed someone else to step up, and we went somewhere else this time. And we went to, Thailand, I would imagine. But I can't say for sure he's Thai, but anyway, he has to go and fight for the honour of his town, which again has some amazing fight sequences with a new fight style, and really put this man on the map as someone you need to watch. Number 3 is Secondhand Lions. Haley Joel Osment had a bit of a career downer after this, but this movie follows him as he gets dumped with his estranged uncles who have told tales of their adventures, and their adventures see them allegedly fly through Africa, fighting and robbing and always being able to pay for stuff, but always chasing family and people away. And he encourages them to enjoy the money they've got, and they end up just buying everything they can find. And it's a life lesson movie because he gets to learn a lot from his uncles and teach them as well. And also Deval and Kane together are surprisingly entertaining. Number 2 is Old Boy. Do I need to say much about this movie? It is one of the most crazy revenge movies you're ever going to see. Fantastic performances, just brutal fight sequences with the hammer, and a twist that still leaves people absolutely shocked by the end of the movie. An absolute must watch. Number 1 is One Missed Call, a strange pick you might add, but for me this movie, and it is the original, not the remake, follows a group of people who start getting these phone calls about basically play a recording of their death. And in this movie there's something used to create a lot of tension, and it's an asthma inhaler, and you're just in a room, an empty room, no one there, and you hear an asthma inhaler go off, and it's just built up to be like the most terrifying thing you're ever going to hear. And it works so well for this movie, and is an absolute essential horror movie to be watching One Missed Call. So that's my list. Thank you for watching, and what are your favourite movies from 2003? Let me know in the comments below, and as always you can follow me on Twitter, head to the website for full reviews, or see how many stars I give movies on Letterboxd. But thank you all for watching, and good night.